This
Rocket Child.
is Rocket Child.
Rocket Child. Rocket Child. It's Rocket Child.
Rocket Child. Yeah.
What's up, Star Chasers? It's me, Rocket Child. Hi. Alright. Hey guys, so for this project, I found this little planter person in the shops, and I thought that I would design it with you guys. So first I primed it with some white paint, and I decided I'm going to create Vegeta from Dragonball Z as the inspiration for this character. So he'll be a chunky version, and then I've got some grass seeds to grow the hair. Got the body sketched out to look like this. So first I'm gonna draw the general sketch of how I'd like things to be. At first I was using Nicker paints. They're really beautiful high contrast paints, and they looked really nice. I've used them before on paper and they've created really vibrant illustrations, but this is the first time using it on plaster. Plaster likes to absorb water, it'll just eat it all up. When I was applying the paint, the layers kept cracking because the plaster was absorbing it. Also, this was a really hot night, so the paint was drying really quickly. At first I kept going everything with a second coat, but then I realized that something was wrong. I used some acrylic medium which I had lying around to just test and see how easy it was to seal the paint, and the colors got activated instantly from the moisture, and I realized that that was a big problem. I tend to think on my feet and come up with solutions quickly. So I realized after the blue layer, the Nicker paints just weren't going to work. So I pulled out my acrylic paints, got some blue, and went over the existing blue I'd already done. Acrylic paints are not water soluble, that's why you have to use the mixing medium. And in the long run, I think that was the best decision. Some paints are more translucent than others. That's why it's so important to put down the white base first and build up on top of it, because even though I lightly sketched in pencil the line art, in some areas you could still see the pencil shining through just because the paints were more translucent. I tried to build up layers with the armor by mixing yellow with gold and then some brown to distinguish it with the lines. The brown lines were still quite harsh and a little bit chunky in some areas, so then I used the translucent gold color to go over the brown lines, and they managed to blend in better. The acrylic paints don't blend in with each other once dried. However, in some areas, the original blue Nicker paint still was there on the edges. Every once in a while, the white area got a bit dirty and smudged with blue, so I'd have to go over the white again just to dull down that blue. When using acrylic paints, you need to use acrylic medium to mix and thin out the colors. You don't want to use water because acrylic paints are not water soluble. They're plastic really, so that's why you have to use the acrylic medium to water down the thick paints and to help blend in different colors together. For the face, I went over with a small brush, going over the details. I tried using a marker to do the outlines, but in the end I found just an ordinary 2B pencil was enough to go over and define the outlines around the eyes and nose and mouth and such. Just a general tip in case you guys want to try this out too. I added some of the yellow on the inside rim of the planter pot shape, because if you do not fill the whole brim full of soil, and you have some bits unpainted, it could really drive you nuts and ruin the illusion of the Super Saiyan hair. So I painted some of the yellow hair on the inside of the pot. You don't need to paint the whole thing because it will be filled with soil, but just the top edge. As I said earlier, it was really hot when I painted this, and because of the various layers of paint, the acrylic paint felt a little bit sticky and tacky. Some of it even got stuck on the paper towel and was pulling off a little bit, like the way dry glue gets a bit sticky. Even though the paint is not water soluble, it is still fragile and susceptible to damage. Therefore, I knew I had to seal it. First things first, I used some waterproof spray for shoes, actually, to just mist the whole thing to make sure that everything was sealed, such as the pencil that I used to draw the line art and some of the original blue knicker paint. After that, I used some varnish and just went over the whole piece and left it to dry overnight. The next day, once the varnish was all dry, it's time to plant the seeds. So there's no drainage hole in this pot, so first I'm adding some stones to help, then adding a little bit of soil on top. Next I'm going to grow some grass. The instructions say to use a paper towel to grow them neatly. So I'm just cutting out a piece of the paper towel to lay on top of the soil, moistening it down, and then adding on the grass seeds. I haven't done this before, so my hopes are that it actually grows. In the end, I think it came out pretty nicely. Some of the paint still smudged, even though I tried my best to seal it, but overall it came out looking really cool. I've been wanting to do a Super Saiyan kind of planter for a really long time. I just wasn't sure how to go about it. So when I saw this little human-shaped planter, I thought it was a great opportunity to just give it a go. Thanks everyone for your kindness and support. Please consider donating on my Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/rocket1111child. The funds will go towards growing this channel and creating more art projects and videos. Anyway, thanks for watching.